We are waiting
Hey,
for a
hi,
few more
Swaruk.
minutes for others
Yeah,
to
yeah,
join.
sure, sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Rohit from Mumbai.
Hi, Rohit. I think so. We can start with, we have 50% participants here.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much, Shekhar. Oh, hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening to all of you based on your time zones. So this is Farooq Mendon, and I lead the operations for a couple of programs for Upgrad. And with me today, we have Shekhar. And Shekhar has over 15 years of experience across professional services firm and corporate environments. He is also the program director for the Directorship and Board of Advisory Certificate program, which we are doing right now, and also leads the regulatory and business solution practice, specializing in entity governance and compliance. He also advised organizations across sectors on complex matters and supported board level initiatives, including CSR, whistleblower mechanism, insider trading, and related party transactions. Prior to PWC, he was part of the M&A and corporate governance and compliance team of Deloitte and Ernst & Young, a company qualified secretary and commerce graduate. Shekhar also brings very strong regulatory expertise and practical board advisory experience. Over to you, Shekhar. You can take it over from here.
Sure. Thank you, Swaroop. Good morning, good evening, everyone. It's a strong introduction which Swaroop just gave. So first of all, welcome all of you to the Directorship and Board Advisory Program, which is brought to you jointly by PWC and Upgrad. As you are aware, the corporate world is undergoing a profound shift. Boardroom across India and globally are experiencing new expectations. There are greater accountabilities, stronger governance structures, digital transformation, risk oversight, and at the same time, a strong stakeholder engagement. And this demands for an effective, ethical, and future-ready board leaders. And that is exactly which we're going to cover in this program. So I just wanted to set a quick context for you guys. Like today, will spend some time in terms of what would be the length and breadth of this program, what we're going to cover, who would be your speakers, who are going to talk about different topics, etc. But let me help you to understand first what are the key outcomes coming out of this program. One, certainly our focus would be to help you build a structure and credible exposure to modern boardroom dynamics, strengthen your understanding of governance, risk, compliances, ESG, financial risk oversight, and so on and so forth. Certain practical board decision making aspects from a real world case studies, and at the same time certain stimulated board scenarios as well, and also elevate your readiness to contribute meaningful from a day one in a board or advisory role. Bhav, if you can go back to the previous slide. Thank you. So as you mentioned, I'm the program director, 15 years of experience, 10 years with the firm, PwC now, focusing on a couple of aspects of corporate governance, compliances, and more particularly the modern boardroom. During the course of the program, I'll be supported by Manisha Narang, who is the program partner, again a company secretary with 20 years of experience. She has a specific experience around advising MNCs and the prominent Indian companies on a lot of corporate compliance and strategic matters. I'll also be supported by Bhavya Sehra, who is the program manager. She is again a qualified company secretary, over 11 years of experience, more particularly on the FEMA cross-border regulations, entity management, corporate governance, and board governance aspect. So this would be your team who gonna work around in terms of developing the content and then presenting it to you in and around the topics as we just discussed. Bhavya, we can move on to the next slide. Thank you. Just 1 second. Okay, yes. So as I mentioned, this program is based on 3 themes or three trends basically. One is the changing board dynamics in legal entity governance. As I mentioned now, the boards are no more just responsible for signing the documents or meeting the compliances. It's way beyond. So what is that change in the overall legal entity governance framework? That is something we're going to cover in different sessions. Second is elevating board engagement in financial and risk dynamics. Many of the time we have received this feedback that board of directors are way beyond the compliance and governance aspects. There are larger governance and risk issues as well, wherein like board are required to participate in day-to-day things. We're gonna talk more about what kind of financial and risk dynamics you will face during the course of operations and how you can really come out with those difficult scenarios and what could be the practical insights around it. That could be the second theme. Third, and the most important one, is how you should get effectively EGC is entity governance and compliance. Amlan, it's a team name which cover the governance and compliance aspects. Thank you. Yes, the third aspect would be engaging stakeholders and strengthening investor relationship. As a board member, you're gonna deal with multiple stakeholders, internal, external. How you can make your engagement effective and efficient, that is something we're gonna talk about in our upcoming sessions. What we will explore together. One, what makes governance effective and what undermines it. There are certain principles, domestic, globally recognized in and around corporate governance compliances. We will talk more about those principles and how you can apply those principles in your day-to-day functioning. The evolving role of board in the areas like ESG, digital transformation, and stakeholder capitalism. As I mentioned in the beginning also, these are the topics which are quite trending. And when we see board of directors and their roles and responsibilities, these are getting extended to these areas as well when we talk about ESG, digital transformation, and stakeholder capitalism. And then we will also explore how aspiring the board members can prepare themselves to contribute meaningfully from day one. What is your day zero preparedness? I would take it like that. So the day zero, how you should really start with, what are those do's and don'ts you should definitely keep in mind? What are the best practices one can definitely be in the mind that say, okay, these are things which I have to implement in my organization. And at the same time, the larger industry perspective. Over the course of time together, we'll dive into the deeper foundation of corporate governance, how it got evolved, what are the key principles, protocols, best practices followed across locations, across territories, across jurisdictions. We'll also be speaking about the best board dynamic, like what is the best composition of a board of members, the roles, responsibility, decision-making, ethical leadership, the powers, and the concept of officer in default, DNO policies, and so on and so forth. Everything we're gonna cover in the board dynamics. There would be certain real-world case studies as well, which we have witnessed dealing with our clients, attending different modern boardrooms, and seeing firsthand like how the board members have really dealt with those situations. Those experiences will be shared with you. And most importantly, the interactive discussion where you will share your perspective. You will put up your situation and we'll try to brainstorm together and see like how effectively we can share our experiences around it and we can come out to a mutually agreed solutions for the same. So that is something, a broader outlook of the program. There is a few more slides, what we thought we just jotted down and we'll take you through in terms of how the programs is going to get structured. As I mentioned, there are six sessions, what we are planning to take it forward. Starting with session 1, that would be on the modern boardroom and its role. More particularly, you can see we intentionally kept it modern boardroom because the traditional boardroom is no more in existence. Now the thing has been drastically changed, overall transformed to modern boardroom. What are the core covenants of modern boardroom in terms of structure, role, power, liabilities, protection, standards, and all other things? Inside and outside organization, how you have to manage all of that. So session 1 will be focusing more on the aspects of modern boardroom, and your role as a board of director. Session 2 will be, it's like specifically curated session more around the aspect of corporate governance. When I say corporate governance, I mean, this topic is pretty broad, pretty vast. Broadly speaking, it has two larger elements to get covered, which include the corporate governance and board governance. When we talk about corporate governance, there are things like the kind of systems, policies, SOPs, DOAs you should have in place, which can safeguard the interest of the larger stakeholders at the same time of the organization as well. We will also be speaking about the best practices around board governance. What are the things which can bring in a best board governance? It could be a board evaluation program. It could be a regular board training. It could be having an optimum board structure. It could be anything else also. So we'll talk about the core principles and regulatory framework around the corporate governance and board governance both. Then we'll also be exploring certain real life case studies in and around the best corporate governance practices followed across the globe. The role of board of directors in long-term value creation, and then at the same time applying global benchmark around those best practices. That is something we will be talking more in session 2. Session 3, as I said in the beginning of the program, is something which is specifically being curated in and around the finance and risk for board oversight. What we understood and realized over the period of time that it is imperative that board should understand that while there could be the CXOs getting involved who would be handling the financial matters, the risk matters, but as a board, how you have to have an oversight on those financial and risk matters. It could be starting with a small disclosure in some of your public report or annual report, which is going to the stock exchanges, or maybe to the public registrar, or maybe in terms of setting up your internal control, compliance and reporting in and around those financials and other records. We will also be speaking about the larger risk governance aspects. What kind of risk organization typically get exposed? It starts with reputational risk to regulatory to financial to any other risk. We will be covering all those risks, and at the same time, how effectively you should be having a plan in place, a mitigation plan in place, the best practices to follow in terms of covering those risk areas. So session 3 is largely focusing on the risk oversight and at the same time, the financial oversight aspects. Okay, session 4 is I would say that which is the need of hour, wherein like we will be covering few aspects of larger governance in digital, cyber, and M&A readiness. I mean, we would be hearing a lot about AI, Gen AI, agentic AI, and the use cases around it. We would also be hearing about how India is a market growing about AI, how globally we are developing in and around these aspects. But at the same time, when we talk about those practical scenarios, it comes with a lot of governance. It comes with a lot of responsibilities too. Session 4 is now going to focus more particularly what are those governance principles, what you should definitely be abide in terms of implementing the digital, cyber, and other related aspects. So session 4 have two parts basically. First part, we will spend some time, one hour or so, around the digital and cyber aspects and the best practices of good governance in and around digital and cyber practices. It could be again setting up from policies. Start from setting up a policy to say, overseeing a particular transaction, or to say setting up a guideline how to use those AI and Gen AI engines, or could be anything else. But that is something which is what we're gonna cover on digital and cyber. And the second half of the session would be focusing more on the M&A readiness. When I'm saying M&A readiness, it is more about your expansions, diversification, and when the organization plan to grow. As the Indian economy grow, the other economies grow, the organization may plan to say that we wanted to expand ourselves, spin off. What are those options available? How you can really restructure the organization? And as a board member, what is your role when it comes to any sort of restructuring in your organization? How you have to handle those restructuring? What are the key things, rational, what you need to keep in mind in terms of evaluating those restructuring? And what your role in terms of deciding on those matters from a larger governance and restructuring standpoint of view. So session 4 will be focusing on that. Session 5 is something which is
Good afternoon, everybody. Sorry for joining.
Hey, hi, good afternoon. Okay, session 5 will be focusing more on the aspects of independent directors. When we go ahead with session 1, you will get to know like what are the different types of directors typically exist. What are the different categories of directors are usually being known domestically and globally. But one of the prominent one is the independent director, which comes with own risk and rewards. What are the rewards available for being an independent director? What are the qualifications, role, responsibilities, the typical phenomena, processes you need to follow? That is something we're gonna talk more about it. And at the same time, if you are independent director, what kind of risk you are exposed with, that is also we will be covering in session 5. So largely independent director program, session 5 will be focusing on the independent director aspect, while the other 4 session, what I just spoke about would be talking about on the overall board and the different aspects of governance. After session 5, we will have the last session, session 6, which would be focusing more on this stakeholder. Sorry.
Shekhar, you can continue.
Sorry.
I request everyone to please unmute themselves just so that the flow of the session is not getting good. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Session 6 is something where we're going to focus on stakeholder engagement and investor relations. As I said, dealing with different stakeholders as a board member is very critical in today's dynamic world. As I mentioned in the beginning, there are different set of stakeholders with whom you would be interacting as a board member. What should be your strategy when you are talking to your internal stakeholder? What should be the guidelines you should keep in mind when you are interacting with external stakeholder? Which kind of stakeholder you can typically be like encountering in different scenarios? And what are the best practices when other board members, other organizations are really dealing with those situations? So all of that, something which we're going to cover in stakeholder engagement and investor relationship. Again, this has 2 parts. Session 6, well, maybe 1 hour, 1.5 hours, we're going to spend around the stakeholder engagement part of it. And last half an hour, 15 minutes, we would be spending more about going a little deeper and talking about like how you have to manage the investor relationship. Because what we understand, investors are one of the important stakeholders for any board member. If you have to deal with investors, how you have to effectively manage relationship with the investor, we'll spend a little more time around it and maybe be covering in session 6 on the overall basis. So yes, that's the journey. 6 sessions, what we're gonna cover over the period of time. I think these are planned on alternate Fridays, Bhavya,
Alternate Thursdays.
Alternate Thursday, yeah. There's one more slide, I think. Can we just move on to the next one? Okay. While I said in the beginning as well, but our endeavor from this program would be one, certainly bring those real world insight before you. From my experience of last 15 years, 20 years, what we have seen, how the modern boardrooms getting evolved, what kind of situations they dealt with, and what are the best practices available across jurisdiction. That is something would be our endeavor to bring it before you. So be participative, get involved, and try to leverage as much as you can. Second would be the elite peer network. I can see 64 of you are here on the call. All of you are aspiring board members or maybe serving as a board member. I strongly believe it's a great group, an opportunity for each one of you to network with each other, because at the same time you're gonna, it's an opportunity where you can share your experiences and collaborate and explore more opportunities together. Then we will also be focusing on like what is the strategic impact of these learnings, right? We will talk maybe during the session, we'll talk a little about the foundational principle, regulatory aspects also, but how it can have a strategic impact on your day-to-day functioning. So how the program is being curated, Bhavya, Yoshita, Kirat, who are here on the call supporting me on this program, they have spent a lot of time in terms of developing the content for these sessions. the content has a weightage around where we're gonna talk a little more about the fundamentals, principle of these topics and the aspects, but at the same time bringing that key strategic impact. What would be relevant for you? That is also we're gonna talk and cover in our sessions. And at the end, certainly there's a joint certification from Upgrade and PWC. So I would say, I mean, I invite each one of you to bring your experiences, your questions, your curiosity to the program, and let's make this a deeply engaging, transformative experience, which one can help you shape the future of the organization you will serve. So with this, I again would like to welcome all of you for this program, and I would say it's a start of journey. Let's get this engaging, be proactive, and ask questions and share your experiences. That will help us to have a more concrete conversation around it.
And Shekhar will be having assessment also.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you for bringing this, Bhavya. So after 6 sessions, we will have a recap session also for you, wherein like we'll be covering quickly what we have done in 6 sessions and followed by an assessment. It would be an online assessment. Upgrade team will share more details with you, but there are certain percentage of marks what you need to achieve in order to clear the exam and assessment, which I'm sure I can see the brilliant minds here certainly be clearing that. So, but my request to each one of you to be participative, engage, involve, and learn. That's the key, what I can really come up here.
So, Arnab, we have a question from Arnab about the assessment. Arnab, this will be in a case study form and objective questions will be there.
I think
the
Anil has-
duration of the assessment means
Sorry?
duration of assessment, like how big.
There is no specific duration for the assessment. You will be giving 1 week, and in that 1 week, you need to cover the whole assessment. There's no particular duration like 1 hour or so.
Anil, you wanted to ask something?
Yeah,
Sorry,
so am I
I was-
audible, Shekhar? Go on, Nilesh. I think you want to ask first, but you can go ahead.
Yeah, just I saw on your one of the slide there is a project will be there. So what kind of project it will have?
Actually, this
yeah.
is what exactly we were telling. So the project is in assessment form.
Okay.
Also, learners, you can type your questions in the chat box. We are replying to those questions.
What I wanted to ask is, with this project that you have, that will have, we get informed in time to know exactly what is, how to, so that we can be prepared for it, or it will be just an instant type of program?
Bhavya, you want to answer?
I missed it. I'm actually answering the questions in the chat box.
No way. So I don't know who was asking this question, but you will get a fair opportunity in terms of, so after every session, the presentation plus the video recording of the session will be uploaded. You can have access to it. Anyways, we're gonna have a recap session also, which will help you to like have a quick recap in terms of what we have learned over the period of time. And then, as Bhavya mentioned, you have to have an assessment to get clear, which will have a, I mean, the case study being provided based on the learnings, what we're gonna, or the takeaways, what we're gonna gather together in terms of all our 6 sessions. And that case study will have certain multiple choice questions, what you need to clear. So that's how the program is being designed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, Anil, you were waiting from quite some time.
So
Please.
besides
Yeah. So, Shekhar, first and foremost, thank you. I think this is pretty complex topic, and I think the way in which you have set up a context extremely easy to understand. So that shows the kind of an experience and expertise that you bring, Shekhar, on table. So really appreciate and thank you for that. And looking forward to participate and have a learning from you and my other cohort members. So thanks for that. A small query that I have, Shekhar, at this point of a time. Of course, we have 6 sessions to go from next week. You mentioned that there are different type of directors which are there and which comprise of a board, right? For example, there are executive directors or independent directors, nominated directors. As a cohort, how should we see this? I mean, what kind of a role likely? For example, it could be a different type of role we might be playing in the board going forward, or somebody in the cohort might be already playing that. So how we should see this entire program structure, Shekhar? Is it more for independent director, or is it more from the point of view of executive director who is on the board? Or is it pretty neutral program that will help us to understand, as you said, what is board, what is the compliance and regulatory framework that the board need to take it ahead, risks and compliances, right? So if you could just give a bit of a perspective, Shekhar, that would be quite helpful, from a learning perspective.
Sure, Anil. First of all, thank you so much for your kind words. Thanks a lot. Yes, I think you answered it yourself. It's a neutral program being designed, wherein largely the program will run around for the overall board members, irrespective of the fact whether we're an executive director or non-executive director. But yes, in few of the session, we're going to touch upon certain specific aspects too, which is maybe if in relation to executive director, we need to stress upon, we're going to talk about more. And one of the specific category, what we found is independent director, wherein, I mean, the regulations and, the qualification criteria and other aspects are very different. And you might need to have a little more cautious if you are an independent director on the board. So if you're an executive, non-executive, additional or alternate director, by and large, things would remain common for you. And perhaps this program will help you to understand what is your role. But the moment you become an independent director, or more particularly a woman director for our female colleagues here, those are the aspects which we're going to cover separately as well, so that you have an overall point of view that, okay, if I'll get into any of those roles, how I have to deal with those situations and what are those additional safeguards I have to have in place.
All right, Shekhar. So in case if someone of us wants to be an independent director, then would you be recommending an additional program for that, Shekhar, or this program?
Not at this moment. We're going to cover at a high level, but yes, this is something we are discussing with the upgrade, wherein like we can curate a specific program for independent directors, because that topic itself is quite vast and different geographies has different compliance requirement, different qualification criteria to get covered. But yes, in this program also, we're going to touch upon some of those high level aspects so that you get a fair idea. Okay, if I am an independent director, these are the things I should be mindful of them.
All right. And my second quick question, Shekhar, I mean, if we complete this program successfully, and if we have the requisite, maybe a qualification, of course, it's at the discretion of the company, but then we would be automatically eligible to be the director on the company, or we need to have some kind of a different assessment from some regulatory bodies to have ourselves on the directorship of the board.
Yeah. So, I mean, except the independent director, Anil, where you need to get yourself registered with the independent director bank, and there are certain criteria being prescribed. Otherwise, you'll be ready for the board. I mean, if there are any opportunities, you can definitely pursue for them. But yes, for independent director, you need to get additional tests and, the data bank registration and all these compliances be completed with ISEA. Those are the additional.
And this would be a foundation for that, if I'm correct.
It will be, certainly. Yes.
All right. Okay. Thanks, Shekhar. Thanks so much.
Shekhar, just to add on for what Anil was speaking about, I have actually already been enrolled with ID Data Bank, and I'm a qualified independent director. So my question here is that do you have any possibility wherein you can actually recommend to certain companies, or do you have such assistance from your end?
Not at this moment, Chaco, sorry. Our purpose here is to bring our perspective before you guys. Like, if you have to act as a modern board, what are those things what you should be mindful of? And that's the whole purpose of this program. But unfortunately, we may not be able to help you with any recommendations as such. Maybe if upgrade team can do so anything and at a larger stage, perhaps that would be separate, I believe.
Right. Thank you.
I can see Angela, yes, and then Pankaj.
Hi. Hi, Shaker. Hi, Bhavya. Thank you so much for the qualifications provided so far. I would like to understand a little bit more about the final assessment, because right now I'm a little bit confused. So I think it was mentioned previously that this would have a week to be completed and would have some direct questions. So I'm assuming some descriptive questions. But then I think you also mentioned, Shaker, that it would have is also some multiple choice questions.
Yeah, so let
My-
me clarify, Angela. I
Yeah.
understood your point. So as I said, once we complete all 6 sessions, there will be a recap session organized for you, just to give you a quick brush up in terms of what we have learned over the period of time. Right after that recap session, there will be an assessment, online assessment, open for 1 week. You will get a case study, 2 case studies basically. Those case studies would be based on what we have learned over the period of time, 6 months or whatever, 6 weeks. And then there would be mix of questions. Few questions would be multiple choice question where you'll get 3 or 4 options. You need to choose one of them and say which one look more realistic, more correct to you. That is something you need to pick it up. And then you have to share your experience thoughts also on few of the descriptive questions as well. So it's a mix of descriptive questions as well as multiple choice question. I think there is no bar on the attempts to be made. You can make multiple attempts during the period.
Shaker, I'm not for the attempts. I'm not sure. Upgrade will update about the attempts.
Yeah, so
But
I will
yes, you
explain
will.
my concern. I will explain
Let
my
me pitch in
concern.
here.
Yes,
Yes, please.
There are going to be 2 attempts on the portal, just like the other program that you're doing, the regular DBA programs, right? The first attempt, it will show, if you're not passing the first attempt, it'll give you the second option. If you're still not able to do it, you'll have to move to the next question. The 2 attempts in
So
there.
my concern here is, I guess that everyone is on the same boat. So we are all working professionals full time. We're completing a DBA program, and we now have these on top of the running modules of the DBA. And we also have our outside of work and family commitments. So 1 week deadline to do that, I find that very difficult. And I wanted to understand if there's a way of releasing the questions early so we can start working on them early.
So you want to pick it up?
Let me pick it up, Shikhar. So we can, Angela, we can do that. But I will not be giving you commitment at this stage because again, we'll have to discuss this internally and then come back with that. But what I can definitely do is if you feel 1 week is not enough, you can get in touch with the student support team. You already know how the student support team works. So you can just get in touch with the student support team and we'll definitely help you with it. If you need some more time on that, we can help you with the time part. But again,
it's not necessarily, about extending the time to submit. It's just having access to the questions so you can actually work through them as they're happening in the modules. So that's sort of what we're doing in the DBA program. And you have the module running for roughly a month, and you're provided your coursework upfront that you can look through and work through while you're performing all the modules and sessions. But anyway, I don't know if my other colleagues feel the same. I just feel that, a week is a very short amount of time given all the commitments that are
I'm
on the
aligned with
table,
your ask.
at
I'm
least
aligned
for
with
me.
your ask, actually. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm aligned with your ask. And I know how the DBA programs work as well, right? So definitely, let me take this through. Let me talk it with the PWC team as well as the internal brand team, and we'll definitely try to do that. But I'm not giving any commitment at this stage because you know how it works. So we'll have to discuss this, and then we'll be able to confirm the date. Okay,
Sure.
but give us some time. Thank you. Any other question? Pankaj, I can see you hand raised.
Yes, I have like couple of questions to ask. First of all, I need to know it from you only. Swaroop, I got to know that it's every alternate Thursdays or twice in a month, I believe so. So I still not able to understand that if a working professional like us can able to attend, and that too I'm a different time zone as well. So it's currently I took remote work option, so that's why I can able to attend this session. But every week it won't be possible because we have our engagements, personal like official commitment. So it's hard to attend this live session. So is there any attendance which is mandatory for us to complete this 6 classes? And then once you answer this, then I have a couple of other questions related to this course curriculum and everything, because I still confused about this whole program, because to be honest, I am in a very senior techno-functional role and more technical guy, and now driving and speaking with stakeholders to get the business done and requirement completed. But this directorship program, is it something, because I'm a little confused, I have bird eye view of what director actually works, but I never been in that place to get to know. But what all they overall covered, it's all about compliance, legal and stakeholder management, these and financial aspects also, taking that right. So I'm still is it for a C-level kind of role, C-suits who can able to bring that ladder up easily, or how we proceed with this? Because they covered about financial, legal, compliance and governance. For from data perspective it would be different, for leadership it would be different, and for a director it would be different. So there are different aspects of considering this legal and compliance and various aspects of running a company. And there are certain certification, because I could see all 3 panelists are from company secretariat, so they have CS background and law background. So would be it's ideal for anyone from any of the background, whether they are from any technical BTech or be engineering background. So that's I need to know that how we will proceed for this, so that it would be ideal certificate for us. We don't want to keep it in our bucket without doing implementation in our life. So I need know more about from Shekhar and Bhavya, if you can help me with this.
Sure, Pankaj. Let me give our perspective here. So as I mentioned, Pankaj, this program is curated for anyone who is joining the board of directors. So I would want to definitely differentiate here. When I'm saying director, it is not about director in any role. Say you are, just for a moment, you are a director information technology, or could be a director human resources, or director sales and marketing. It is not what I meant to say. It is more about when you are joining a board member, a board suit. The moment you join a board of directors group, you are actually working one level above the CXO's group. And then from there, what are those things, what are those areas perhaps where you as a board member are either required to give a sign off or required to have an oversight. So we're gonna cover those topics that look, if Pankaj is a board of director, as a board member, Pankaj should definitely keep certain things in mind in terms of financial, risk, governance, digital, compliance, and overall functioning of the organization. And what we picked it up as a topic are this length and breadth is really vast, Pankaj, and you can imagine
Yes,
that.
absolutely.
But what we picked up from our experience, the typical areas where we have seen board of directors take decisions. They could be different. Depending upon your organization, there could be different role, requirement, etc. But these are the principles what are globally accepted. And we have seen board of directors to really acting upon all of them. So that's the larger perspective which I wanted to bring it up before you.
Okay, got it. So it's mainly from organizational perspective, not a particular business unit or something which, because I got confused. Compliance governance we also taking care of, but at different level.
Yes. So as a IT professional, assume for a moment you would be taking up governance and compliance certainly, but that would be more on the functional part of it. What I'm saying is more from a board perspective, where you sitting at a board really signing off those decisions. So what are those things you need to keep in mind when you are really signing off those decisions? That's most important here.
Basically, yes, basically it is from oversight perspective and monitoring perspective. It can be any department.
And as somebody mentioned in between also, for becoming independent board director, is there any other kind of academic certification from global bodies we require it to get that also to be done?
Yeah.
Like you guys are CS background, so it would be easy for them to get into that level.
Not necessary, Pankaj, because as I said, the role of a board member is neutral to your qualification, to be honest,
Okay.
because it's more about how you are participating, how much you understand the because, and again, different organization may have a different kind of board requirements. Say one is looking for someone who is a subject matter expert. I am in a oil and gas business. I need someone to be on my board who understand my board,
Yes.
right? So that could be a different task altogether. Or someone could be looking for someone, say that who has a high prestige in the market, and we just have to borrow that prestige and bring that person on our board and see like, look, this guy is there, he has a different perspective of life and he can share his experiences whenever we are taking up any decision. So as I mentioned, qualification doesn't matter here. More it is like, I mean, which kind of opportunity is coming across you, that is one. And if you become a board of director, apart from ruling to you, largely just by designating as a board of director, what are the additional things you need to be mindful of? That is
Mindful,
something
right.
this program will cover for you.
Okay, that's fair enough. Thank you so much. And so just cover me this part. Thursday, for people like me who not in India and we are working abroad and it's afternoon for me. So how it would be very hard for me to attend it from office as well, and how it could go, or do we get that leverage to just attend this session, recorded session only?
We understand that, Pankaj, and this was one of the factors while designing the program as well. In fact, all the other programs also across up there, because if you're not able to attend it, that's completely all right. Just make sure that you're going through the recording at least, because the recordings will be made available to you and the PPTs will also be made available to you. Your passing doesn't depend on the attendance, but it completely depends on your project that you submit. As long as it's passing your projects, you will be able to get the certificate. And I'm sure you will upfrontly go through the recordings as well, because that is the main value of the program.
And it
So
would
that's
be
completely all
individual
right.
or group assignment?
It's individual assignment. There is no group assignment.
Okay. All right, perfect. Thank you so much.
I think we have Jagat here. Jagat, if you can ask you.
Thanks, Shikhar. Yes, thanks for briefing it up. So what is my question is, like I understood like this is more like a foundational level certification or maybe program, because I'm also similar to the lance of the pitch of Pankaj, more from a technical R&D background. I want to understand that what is the series of certification in place. Okay, if we say like after we get some kind of maturity in this particular zone, maybe according to our industry needs and so on, is there any series of certification after we complete this foundational level certification?
Maybe so we can come in here, but my sense is, as you're absolutely right, it's a foundational level program, but there are thoughts around building more module and see like if we can have intermediate or the experience level program also in place. That also we are in discussion with Upgrade to get in place.
All right. So I believe like this program try to cover in terms of the breadth at the first instance, so that once the people understand the breadth of these topics, so as per the like the domain or the industry background, they can further deepen or strengthen in that particular stream, right? So that is like the major background of asking this question.
That's correct. Very well said. Yeah.
Yes. Thanks.
I just wanted to ask if the program is, because I'm trying to be part of the chartered management program, and at the same time I want to know if whatever we're going to be doing in this program, is it going to be relevant enough for this chartered management program?
I am unsure about the charter management program here, but as I mentioned, Zolil, that this program will help you to get a mindset of like if you are going to become a board of director on any of the companies, then what are the things
Yes,
what
I'm practically I'm practically the CEO of my own company. So this is why I joined your program, right? And what I'm trying to do is, chartered management is one of the, because I heard that you'd be having to register with other institutions to get to the, somebody was trying to explain it there. So chartered management would be one of the things. That's why I'm asking, is it relevant enough? But if you don't know, then it will be difficult for you to give me the answer on that.
Yeah,
Because
yeah. I may check with the team and get back to you, Zalil. Maybe in the next session once we meet, we will definitely come back to you.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Shekhar, Anil this side. So one question or one query which I have is, are such programs come with any kind of a validity, Shekhar? I mean, is there any kind of a duration by which you need to go through the similar program to be eligible for the directorship, or this is a kind of a program, probably there is no validity that is mentioned, right?
No, there is no validity as such, Anil. As I said, and someone really picked up this point, that it's more a foundational program which give you an overview of how the board of directors act in the real world. That is going to get covered in this session. There's no validity per se, but yes, of course, as I mentioned, we are in advanced discussion with the upgrade. If we can have certain set of intermediate and advanced level of program also, picking up few specific topics which can help you building in and around those topics and give you more holistic picture. That can also be, I mean, we can look for it. But at this point of time, just to answer your query, it's more foundational program which gives you an overview of how our board of directors really act in a real world.
Okay, thanks, Shekhar.
Okay, if there are no more questions, we can wrap up. I think there's one more.
I think the lady was speaking of a question that was, I felt it is a valid question, which was, and you didn't ponder much on it, because she asked about the time limit, and because I'm also worried with the 6 weeks. It's a 6-week
No,
program.
Donald, that is something we're gonna work on it. As my colleagues Swagrup have mentioned, we will go back and check how we can make it flexible here. No commitment at this point of time, but we will definitely factor in the point of view, and we have heard this point, and definitely we'll get back to you on that.
Okay.
Maybe the last question.
So hi, Shekhar. Like what I understood from this session is like this gives us a flexibility of learning what board of directors does. Okay, but it doesn't give us any certificate. Like we are presented with certificate that doesn't it do allow us to go to that level. Like, is what you recommend, or what is the value of this entire program in your terms? Like, I want to understand that.
See, if I put it in a simple words, Bhagirada, it's more about sharpening your skills, taking you up to speed that, okay, if you are getting into any such opportunity as a board member, are you really ready to become a board member or not? Because see, the moment you get into, again, the aspects around identifying those opportunities and playing a role of a board member, that is all depends on your individual traits. The objective of this program is to, keep you ready for that space, so that if at any point of time you encountered any such opportunities, you should have a fair understanding, okay, if I have to act as a board member, what are the things I should be mindful of? Because what happens when you're sitting in a boardroom, there is an agenda being discussed around, say, cyber threat. How are you going to handle that if you don't have that information? Maybe you have a very different background. You are a salesperson or a marketing person, assume for a moment. And discussion is on a cyber threat. But being a board member, you have to participate in that conversation. So you should be holistic enough in terms of knowing those 7, 8, 10 topics, which are very critical for a board member, so that you can take those holistic decisions when sitting in a boardroom.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, this explains me, like it depends on me how to handle, like how to progress to that level. Yeah, it's not about the program which gives me flexibility. Yeah, clear, Shekhar. Thanks for getting that.
Shekhar, we are getting questions regarding the global credibility of the certificate.
Yeah, so as I said, the certificate is a collaboration between PWC and Upgrad. From a credibility and opportunity standpoint of view, those are independent to this. The program is going to focus more on sharpening your skills, prepare yourself for day zero, and at the same time sharing the best insights in terms of if you have to handle different aspects of boardroom, how you can really get onto it and how you effectively you can really manage all of them. So that's the overall overview of the program. Okay. So once again, thank you all of you for your time. As I mentioned, I look forward to seeing you guys soon during our first session. Keep your energy high, ask questions, share your experiences, and let's together dive into the ocean of governance and compliance and the board role in that. And let's see what best we can take out of it. Thank you so much on behalf of the team. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your participation. Thanks a lot.
Just one more query to the Upgrad team.